Hello everyone, my name is Dave Partner and welcome to your next tutorial on Ionic. In this tutorial, I'll teach you how to write a login function. So first of all, we will start from our user service.ts. Remember where to find it. It's in user service. So there we wrote this function inside our user service. Remember where to find it. You go to your project folder, then of course you go to, that is when you come to app, you come to providers and user service, and this is the file we are looking at right now. Okay, so what we did was, outside the constructor, we have a constructor here. This is the constructor, and this line starts here and ends here. So outside it, we created a function that we called logout user. Okay, so inside it, we just called this Firebase reference that signs out people. So once someone visits this, it will sign the person out. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is to create what we want to do is to make sure that our logout button should be inside the user's profile page. So we came to our home page. Remember our home page. Here on my browser, this is what we're trying to build. We want to put this icon on the home page so that the person can click it and get to their user details page. And then from the user details page, we can put a logout button somewhere here or somewhere in the page. So we get to our HTML page. We've created a function in our user service to log out. Then we come to our home page, and on the top header, you have a header that ends here. Then you have a nav bar. We've done this in the past tutorial. I'm just showing you through. Inside the nav bar, we have a title, which is home. That is this. This is inside a title tag, and then we have a button. So I want to space it out well. So we have this particular element, which is called Ion buttons, and what it basically does is contain a button or a set of buttons. Let me show you. I just added 3 buttons, and when the page refreshes, you'll see that it's 3. So the Ion button is kind of a container element for carrying several buttons. Okay, so back to where we were. We just have one button inside it, and instead of writing something inside the button like user profile, which would have worked well, we just preferred to use an icon, and that works out well for us. This is what it would have been, user profile, if you want yours to be that way, but I prefer not to type out stuff there. Let it just be an icon. So we added an icon. Let me space it out for you so you see. We have an icon. This icon starts and ends here. I remember the video in icons where I told you how to get the icon name and where to find Ion icons. And you can use any other icon like the font awesome icons we imported. So this particular button, just when someone clicks it, what does it do? It basically redirects the user to a function. So when someone clicks it, it calls this function, and when we go to inside our home.ts file, we have this function inside here. This function is outside of the constructor, so we have a constructor here that is empty so far. We've not had anything inside it. Then outside of it, we have a function that we called the same name with this guy. And what the function does is one simple thing: redirect to the user's page. And then before we redirect, we imported this page. Remember in Ionic, before you redirect to any new page, you have to import it. So we created the page from our command line. Remember how to create a page in your command line. You run Ionic G page users detail. That's what I choose to call mine. I choose to call my user profile page users detail. If you want to call yours anything, you can call yours users profile or anything. But I use this naming convention so that when I have posts, I can have posts detail. then I have posts lists. It's my own personal naming convention. So when you run this command, it creates the page for you, then instructs you. It says don't forget to add an import for user whatever inside this particular file. So it's basically telling you to copy this particular line, press Ctrl C on your keyboard, then open this file in app themes app core. Just open the file and paste it there. Look at where the file is in app themes. Then you have appcore.scss, that's the SAS file. Then you paste it here. This is where I pasted it. This is the original one we copied. I just want to show you something. The original one we copied from the command line. If you're observant, you will notice that the arrows are pointing backwards. Okay, so what you have to do is to correct the arrows to point forwards, like I did above. You correct the arrows, they all point forwards to avoid getting errors. Okay, so that's what I already have here. Then the final thing I did was to remove the .scs. So that's it here. I'll just delete this last one I did, and I'll save. This small star here shows you that you've not saved the page. I'll press Ctrl S to save, and there we have it. Works well, perfect on it. It takes you to the login page. My browser hanged a little there, so what just happens is you click on it, it takes you to this page. So inside our login page, normally you have the user's profile, then you have whatever. Maybe at the bottom you have logout, or maybe at the top, depending on where you want to put yours. But for me, in this tutorial, we'll put it at the top of the page. So what we'll do is quickly open the user page that we just created. Click on this button, user details. We open the page, the HTML and the TS. I'll click open. So we open both files, and inside the HTML at the top bar here, we're supposed to add a button that says logout. I don't want to start typing it out because I'm very lazy. So what I'll do is I'll just copy the one we've already typed from the home. Copy it, and there we are in the users page, and I'll paste it right inside the navbar. Once I paste it, I can change this function to log user out, and then I can change this to logout or whatever. I can just type logout. Okay, so when the user clicks this on user details page, it should go to user detail.ts and run a function that we wrote outside of our users details, our constructor, and the function is log user out. So this function will make a reference. We'll call it will make a reference to the function we have here in our user service.ts. This is the function that does the actual logging out, just like every other thing we've written. So this guy will call this guy. But before it happens, we have to import this user service as a provider into our user details page. So let's quickly do the import, and because I am so lazy, I can blame the government for that. I will just go to where we've done it before in our login.ts and copy. So I'll just copy this guy because it's imported user service. I'll copy it. I'll come back to our user details page and paste the import. I didn't want to type it out. And finally, we will add it as a provider. So we copy this guy here, copy, and we get back to our user details page, and there's a comma here, so we'll just we'll paste it here. So the next thing we want to do is to import it to this guy. So we'll come here, lazy, we import we declare it here. So we'll copy, and where we have it right here, we paste. Okay, so we're now going to make a reference using this guy to the logout function. So we say this dot user service, user service dot, what's the name of this function? Log user out. log user out. So this should be able to call this service and log this user out. So we'll test it in a minute. Remember that in our app.ts, remember where the app.ts is, this guy here. Remember that it is here, this guy here, that's the guy I'm opening right here. Remember that in this guy, inside the constructor of this guy, when we declared our Firebase parameters, and we have a little function, check log in status. So this little function we did in the beginning of this video tutorial series is, it basically checks, it monitors your app constantly to make sure that the user is logged in or logged out. So if the user logs out, this function will change. If it logs in, this function will change. So if the user is logged in, it means there will be values inside this user variable. So the root page will be the home page we just worked with now, the tabs page. Then if the user is logged out, it will redirect to login page. So this guy is constantly listening. So once we log out, this guy should take control and work. Otherwise, we manually redirect by ourselves. Okay. So back to our user service details. Make sure you use the same variable here as here. Make sure you don't make the mistake of typing user instead of users. Just use the variable you used here, and make sure that this guy is not the variable, this guy is the class, so it's in capitals. Always make sure you watch out for the capitals. It's case sensitive. So when we come here, we'll call this method that is inside the user service, the method we have here. Then it returns a promise. So we just make use of the promise. I'm going to add this. So we say then, what does it do? Redirect or set the default page to login page. And of course, remember to import your login page. You understand? So we have a login page imported, and then we redirect to this guy. Alright, so what happens is that the user quickly comes here, clicks on this takes into this this function, and the function is in home.ts. This function, once they click on it, it will redirect them to the users page, and then users profile page, and they will appear on the users profile page. So on the users profile page, they will see a button that will tell them to log out, which is this button. When they click on it, this function runs, and then here is the function. What the function does is go to the user provider and then calls this function, and what this function does is to log out the user, and we get a promise. Then we redirect. Okay, even if we don't redirect here, there is another redirect function right in our apps.ts page that will still take the user out as soon as Firebase detects that the user is no longer logged in. Alright, so thank you very much, and if you have any questions, don't forget to drop them in the comment box of this video. Thank you. See you.